So you have a Lenormand tarot or oracle deck, and you're wondering, am I shuffling right? Is there some magical way to shuffle that I haven't learned yet? Am I doing this right? If this is you, welcome. Inside this video, we are going to explore how to shuffle your divination deck, whether that's Lenormand Tarot, Oracle, any kind of deck, and we will also talk about selecting cards as well. If you don't know me, my name's Emily Rose. I'm a professional Lenormand and tarot reader. I also teach tarot readers and the mystically minded to read Lenormand like they're talking to a friend. And I am so excited to get into this video, mostly because this is one of my most frequently asked questions that I get from new students inside of my Lenormand Learners membership, and just a common question I get via email, comments here, everywhere. I'm going to cut to the chase right away. There is no one right way to shuffle or draw cards. Now, before you click away from this video, I am going to share with you here my 3 favorite shuffle techniques, and I will also give you some pointers for drawing cards, especially when it comes to Lenormand. So why are we talking about it if there is no one right way to do this? We're talking about it because shuffling and drawing cards is part of the most important part of your reading, in my opinion, when it comes to determining success, and that is your pre-reading ritual. Shuffling and selecting cards is part of your pre-reading ritual. The way that you set up your reading is going to determine the success of how you interpret your spread, especially when it comes to Lenormand. Your pre-reading ritual is going to be really important, especially when it comes to bringing you as the reader to a neutral state. If you are coming to the reading, maybe you're doing it for yourself or for someone else, and maybe something just dramatic happened at work, right? Maybe a client got mad at you at work, or you just had a fight with your partner or whatever, but you have a reading to do. Maybe you want to read for yourself or others. And what a really good pre-reading ritual can do is take you from a charged state into a neutral state. And the main reason that rituals work is because they're repeated. So if you have a way of grounding yourself and calming yourself down that you employ every time you pick up your cards to do a reading, you're going to get into that state much faster. Your ritual will be much more effective. My goal for this video here is not to teach you exactly how you should shuffle, but instead I'm going to introduce you to 3 techniques of shuffling that I like, and then you can kind of feel which one resonates the most for you, because that is what is key here, is that you enjoy the shuffling method that you are employing, and that it helps to kind of ground you. So you might just want to actually play with your cards. You might want to grab them if you have any near you, and try these out along with me. And if you have been bitten by the Lenormand bug and you're wanting to learn more, especially about things like pre-reading rituals, how to charge Lenormand cards, how to do 5-card spreads, 9-card spreads, the grand tableau, you want to make sure to get on the waitlist for my Lenormand Learners membership. It will be open for enrollment again very soon, and you can join the waitlist at emilyrosedivination.com/coming soon. I'll also link it in the description below. Without further ado, let's get into the shuffle techniques. For a lot of you, this video is going to be very basic. You might already know how to do a lot of these techniques. Even if you just play cards, you're going to know some of them. But if you're like me and you're starting at the beginning with something, you want to know everything. Just know that this, I hope, is a permission slip to you to read however the heck you want to read, and that you are introduced to some techniques here today that resonate with you and that you can carry forward in your practice confidently. There are absolutely countless ways to draw cards, so I'm only going to show you 3 here, but if there are techniques that you don't see here that maybe you use, I would love to know in the comments below. So here's how I'm going to show you these shuffle techniques. I'm going to start with the smallest deck. This isn't the smallest deck I have, but Lenormand decks tend to be a bit smaller because you need to fit every card on the table. This deck in particular is a Rana Lenormand, in case you're curious. Then I'm going to shuffle with kind of a normal sized tarot deck here. This is like medium sized deck. And then I'm going to show you how to shuffle with a big mama deck. This is the Voyager tarot. So that's how I'm going to show you how to shuffle with different size decks. To start off with, we're gonna use the smallest size first. This is the deck I work most with. I have multiples of this particular deck, and I like to do what I call the casino shuffle. I am, before the comment section gets lit with this, I am fully aware this is not how they shuffle in casinos. I don't know, it just kind of got adopted by that name in my courses. I don't know how, but that's just what I call it now. Don't try to shuffle this way if you're in a poker game. They will get mad at you. But for divination, it works just fine. So it's the standard card shuffle that you're used to seeing. The shuffle and then the ripple there. So I like to shuffle this way whenever I have like a new question or a new topic, I mean. So maybe maybe a client comes to me and they ask, we assess what the questions are, and then I'll shuffle this way and think about the question that they brought as I'm shuffling, right? So I'm formulating my question as I'm shuffling. And then once I feel like it's good and shuffled, there is no set number I do. I just wait until it feels right, like it's time to stop shuffling. And then what I do is I fan out the cards, and I might kind of just like pass them like this, depending on how I feel. Sometimes I feel like it's set, and then I will just fan them out. And what I do here is I'm repeating the question in my head as I'm picking cards. So in Lenormand, the question is one of the most important factors when it comes to interpreting your reading accurately. So I'm repeating the question not only to kind of put that intention into the cards, but also for myself to constantly remind myself why we're pulling cards. So I'll just kind of go through, and then once a card feels right, I will pull it. So I'm just pulling random cards. I don't have an intention with this one. So I'll just kind of pull different cards, and I usually have an idea of the type of spread I want to use already, but I kind of just pull cards until it feels right. Usually, 5 cards for the majority of questions. And there you go. That's how I shuffle and pull cards with Lenormand. You may be wondering, how does that technique work if you have a bigger deck, right? Like I can't shuffle it that way. So what I do instead is I just simply do it from the side. And I just kind of let them fall. So I just go from the side to do this. And I repeat the same exact process. Nothing is different except for how I'm holding the cards. I'm still shuffling it, and I'm not doing the ripple when the cards are bigger. And just for good measure, I'll show you with a really big deck, you can do the same exact thing, and I kind of just let them fall. And it's just kind of satisfying. I don't know why, with bigger deck, shuffling this way is just really satisfying to me. So that is technique 1, which is just the casino shuffle technique that I just mentioned. Now I'm going to show with you technique number 2, and you don't have to have any skills at all when it comes to this. If you're thinking, I don't even know how to do a regular shuffle, some of us just never learned how to do that, then this technique might be for you. What I like to do is I call this the washing technique. And what I do is it's just literally doing this with your cards, really mixing them up nice and good. And I find myself doing this technique, especially when I've had a day where maybe I've had multiple readings and I really feel like my cards need a good cleanse. I find that this is a really good cleansing technique for me. I just feel really refreshed after I mix up the cards this way. And I see a lot of people reading cards this way. This is how they shuffle. Now, when it comes to selecting your cards, you have choices. So what I usually do is I just kind of feel which cards are calling out to me. I'll just kind of, put my hand down and feel which ones feel right to me. Another thing you can do is kind of gather them up, and then you can do the fan out method that I just talked about. This is the only downside, is this takes a little bit of time to kind of regroup them back together. So you can fan them out like I just said. You can go from the top, whatever you feel is right for you. But washing them is a really great technique, not only for shuffling, but for cleansing your deck too. Since this technique is pretty self-explanatory, I won't do the bigger decks, but it works exactly the same for larger decks as well. Now, when you're washing tarot cards, something you do want to be mindful of is your reversals. Everyone has a different take on reversals, it seems. My take is that reversals don't mean that the card is completely opposite of the original meaning if it was upright. I just see it as it's more internal, and that it's has more of a little bit of a shadow aspect to it. So to me, reversals are not that big of a deal. When it comes to interpreting, they do mean something a little bit more significant. But for other people, like I know how, like my mom, who's a professional tarot reader, Aitlin, she doesn't read reversals at all. So this wouldn't matter at all. There are some folks that will only flip over like 4 or 5 cards into the reverse position randomly. So if that's you, then this technique just might not be for you. But if you're someone like me who, you pay attention to reversals, but it's not, this huge revelatory thing, it's not so different from the original, or if you're like my mom and you don't read reversals at all, then this washing technique is going to be great for you. The last technique I'm going to show you, I call the slide technique. I don't know where I come up with these names, y'all. I just do. So the slide technique is you just pick some cards up from either side and then you just slide them back into the deck. So I'm picking some up from the front and the back of the deck, and then I'm just mixing them in randomly. So you just kind of repeat this. Some people are so wicked fast at this, and this is not the normal way that I shuffle. So I'm not the quickest at this technique, but you'll see some people that go so fast, and some people, they just go really fast until cards pop out, and those are the cards that they use. So that's how they select their cards. I'll try to go fast. This isn't my method, so I'm not as practiced at this one, but they'll just go so fast until cards pop out. So that's another technique. That's probably the most common technique that I see amongst readers is that slide technique that I've dubbed it. I'll show you what that looks like on bigger decks. So they'll kind of go, as you can see, I don't do this technique that much. So you'll see it's I'm a little clunky at it, but that's how you can shuffle if this technique calls. And it does work on bigger decks as well. What's your favorite shuffle technique? Let me know below. Now, some methods for selecting your cards. As I've mentioned, you can fan them out and select. You can go really fast until you get some flyers that pop out. Another option too is to simply select from the top of the deck. So you could just pick them out from the top and, just go for it. That's one of the most common ways I see readers selecting cards. Another option too, kind of something a little bit more non-traditional. I had a student that read this way. He would come up with numbers in his head. So he would just get like number 6 and he would like fan them out, and then he would count to the 6th card. It ended up being kind of from the bottom by the way he fanned them out, but that could also be from the top as well. If you have more questions on things like how do I shuffle, how do I cleanse my deck, fill in the blank there, whatever question you have, feel free to pop it in the comments below and your question may turn into my next video. And if you love Lenormand, you've been bitten by that Lenormand bug and you just can't get enough, be sure to join my waitlist for my Lenormand Learners community. You can join the waitlist at emilyrosedivination.com/coming soon, and I'll also pop it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and you won't miss any more of my videos. Thank you.